Chapter 24 of The Brand of Silence. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Roger Moline. The Brand of Silence by Harrington Strong. Chapter 24. High-Handed Methods. Sidney Prale closed the door and turned around to face a grinning Murk. "Some pair of chickens," Murk said. "That Marie girl may be a bear for size and strength, but she's got a lot of good common sense. I'm strong for her." "Sit down," Prale commanded. And then, walking up and down across the room, he told Murk what Kate Gilbert had revealed to him, simply because he felt that he had to tell it to somebody. "How's that for a dirty deal, Murk?" he asked when he had finished. "Doesn't that make ordinary dirty work look rather pale?" "Who did it, boss? Name the gent, and I'll get his address out of the city directory and pay him a visit," Murk said. "I'll have some things to say to him, and some things to do, maybe." "I'm a sort of husky individual myself, Murk, and if I knew him I think I'd beat you to it," Prale replied. "Now we must get busy." "Just say the word, Mr. Prale. What is it to be?" "I haven't quite decided yet, Murk. How far will you go?" "I'll croak him if it's necessary." "That'd be a bit too far, Murk, and might lead to the electric chair and a far country. Let's take a walk and think it over. We will confine ourselves to the avenue, and you may trail me as before. I scarcely think they'll assault us on the avenue." 10 minutes later, Sidney Prale was walking down the street, and the faithful Murk was trailing in his wake, watching carefully. That walk lasted for an hour. Then they returned to the hotel, and Prale ordered an early dinner. He did not say what he had decided to do, despite Murk's hints that he should state his plans. But Murk had noticed that Prale had stopped in at a printing office during the walk, and shortly after they finished dinner, a bellboy brought a small package to the suite. Prale unwrapped it, and some cards spilled out. "Nice cards, Murk," he said. "I had them printed this afternoon. They bear the name of Horace Greenman, whoever he may be, and state that he is connected with the General Utilities Company, whatever that is." "What's the big idea, Mr. Prale?" Murk asked, wonderingly. "I wish to get into a certain place, Murk, and I'd never do it if I send in my own card. What time is it?" "A few minutes of 8, sir." "Then we'll be going. Let us hope that we find our man at home. If this happens to be his opera or theater evening, we are going to be delayed." Murk followed him down in the elevator and to the street, where Prale engaged a taxicab. The machine took them up past the park and to an exclusive residence section, where it stopped on a corner. Prale and Murk got out, and Prale instructed the chauffeur to wait. Then he led the way to the middle of the block. "Murk, you remain just outside this gate," he instructed. "If I have good luck, I'll come out with a man, and I may want to take him with us. Be ready to help in case I get in wrong." "Sure thing, sir," Murk said. Prale passed through the gate, went up the walk, and lifted the knocker on the front door. A moment, and a servant appeared and looked at him searchingly. "I wish to see Mr. Griffin at once on important business," Prale said. "Kindly take my card to him." Then Prale waited with his heart in his mouth. Was Griffin at home? The servant instantly assured him of that, and carried the card away. Prale had written "Important Business" on it. The servant returned soon and announced that Mr. Griffin would see the visitor. Prale followed him down the hall to the library. He was glad that Griffin had chosen to receive him there, for there was less likelihood of an interruption. The servant opened the door, and Sidney Prale stepped inside. Griffin was sitting beside the long table, and he rose immediately and turned. "You!" he gasped. Pardon the deception." "James! James!" Griffin thundered. The servant was in the room instantly. "Show this fellow the door," Griffin commanded. "Look at him well, and never admit him again." James took a step forward and indicated the door. But Sidney Prale reached into the pocket of his coat, drew out an automatic pistol, and held it menacingly. "Close the door, James, softly," he commanded in a stern voice. "Now advance to the table and stand where I can watch you. Don't you make a move, Mr. Griffin. I used to handle men down in Honduras, and I feel confident that I can take care of this situation." "You thug!" Griffin cried. "I'll have you sent up for this, Prale, if it's the last thing I do." "I know that it is against the law to be carrying a gun without a permit, but this situation demands a show of force," Prale said. "I merely want you to listen to me for a moment, Mr. Griffin." "I don't want to hear anything you may have to say to me, Sidney Prale," the financier said. "You are going to hear it nevertheless. Mr. Griffin, I did not know until this afternoon why I had secret enemies and why they were trying to cause me endless trouble. Miss Kate Gilbert was kind enough to enlighten me." "Well, sir?" "I am sorry that you believe me guilty of such base ingratitude to you and of such dishonorable conduct, for I am not guilty, Mr. Griffin. You were like a father to me, which was enough to compel my loyalty, and, aside from that, you had taught me several things regarding honor in business deals. I went away on the spur of the moment because a woman had jilted me, but before I went I did not betray you and your associates." "A likely story." "But a true one, Mr. Griffin. I did not sell you out for $100,000 or any other sum. My conscience is clear, and I came back to New York expecting to greet old friends and have a pleasant time. You know what I found instead of that happy state of affairs. I am not here to talk at length. I demand a chance to prove my innocence." "How can you do the impossible, sir?" "It is not the impossible, Mr. Griffin. I intend to prove to you that I was not disloyal, and then I shall prove that I had nothing to do with the murder of Rufus Shepley. I have an idea, sir, what is behind all this." "We are wasting time—" "I think not, sir. Time is not wasted in which a man shows that he is not a scoundrel. I think you owe it to me to give me a chance. You have condemned me unheard." "I would give almost anything to have you prove your innocence," Griffin said. "You don't know how it hurt me. But the case against you is so strong, and is so strong—" "Let us waste no more time," Prale said. "I remember the details of the big deal that was under way when I left New York 10 years ago. If you recall, sir, I helped plan the campaign. If I can look at papers in your office, I think I can show that I am not guilty." "I'd like to believe you, but this is preposterous," Griffin cried. "I tell you, the evidence—" "It probably was strong, because the guilty man wanted to make it so. Mr. Griffin, were I guilty I should not be here. Please give me a few minutes and let us talk this over. Then, if you wish, we can go to your office and continue the investigation." Griffin sat down, and motioned for Sidney Prale to do the same. Prale returned the automatic to his pocket, much to the relief of the servant. Murk, standing outside by the gate, paced back and forth, and wondered whether he should attempt to take the house by storm and rescue his employer. The chauffeur, waiting at the corner, wondered whether his fare had slipped down the next street without paying the bill. Murk relieved him on that point, and threatened to beat him up, because he intimated that Prale might do such a thing. It was more than 2 hours later when Prale left the house and went out to the street. He paid the chauffeur and dismissed